Last night I got so drunk, I could not remember where I put my phone, my keys, or my wallet. I woke up in bed next to this girl, and I don't remember her name. What am I gonna do? Who's in my bed? 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 I don't remember. I don't remember.
What up, y'all? What is up? Juanton here. It's going to be my first live stream ever. We're going to be doing some production in Ableton today. Planning on doing this, I don't know, once a week, every Monday. It's the plan. See if we can keep it up. So let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat if there's anything you guys would like me to cover in some of these upcoming streams. I'm going to be putting out some YouTube videos as well. Got another one coming out later this week, and then we'll see if I can get a good rotation of YouTube videos in there as well. So let's just dive into some Ableton. All right, so this track is a track that I am working on a collaboration with homie DummySplash. We met on Ernesto's Wednesday roast a while back, and he sent me a track he'd been working on. I've done a little bit to it, kind of played around with a little bit of the mix on the low end, kind of worked on the kick. And hey, what up? Shy Swag, follow me. Thanks for the shout out. Let's see. Worked on the drums a little bit, added some toms in there, added a couple of percussive elements as well, and some new synths. So I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and then we'll see where we're going to go from there.
Deeper. DJ, take me down deeper. Go deeper. I wanna go deeper. Go deeper. I wanna go deeper. Go deeper. Go deeper. Go deeper. Go deeper.
Okay, so doing all right there. A couple things. First thing that's really standing out to me is this synth that I got going on. I think it might be out of time. Let me take a look at it. It's here. It's this operator patch. So the main thing that I'm doing here is I'm using this LFO shape. It's kind of like alternating on the bass or on the synth there. How do I get rid of this? So I think that it's just kind of, let's see, it's going up to about a half. What is that? I think that fixed it there. It's important with these two, these filters. See, it's kind of hard. Let me see if I could zoom this up. You could see this little line here. If this is like a perfectly straight line, this actually causes clicks a lot of times in audio. So you want to make sure that this is kind of pulled off just a little bit. And that tiny bit there is just going to give it a couple milliseconds to kind of rebound. And that's going to get rid of any clicking that you have there. That's a little better. Okay, cool. So a couple things I noticed earlier when I was looking at this project. It looks like the homie, when he was making this, he had this compressor, this side chain that was taking this ghost kick, which is a pretty smart way of doing things. Essentially what he's doing is he's having this tiny little sample hit when the kick's supposed to hit. And that has the benefit that the sample of the kick isn't as long. So it hits the compressor a little faster. Kind of just a little knock instead of actually having like the full kick, because otherwise the compressor would stay compressing. But what we really want with the side chain on the low end is for the compressor to just kind of duck for the kick and then release and let the bass come in full. So a couple issues that I'm seeing right here with the compressors, right here, the knee specifically, you want to bring your knee down to 0, because the knee will, it will dictate how quickly the compressor comes in to compress your signal. So if you have a higher knee, it's going to kind of gradually start compressing your signal up into the threshold, where what we really want is 0. So as soon as it hits that threshold, it's just going to compress, let go, and come back, so that it's not ducking the bass in some weird ways, which can happen sometimes. So let's see. Got 0 knee, and then we actually want to increase the ratio to infinity to 1. Essentially, it turns it into a limiter. So we're going to completely bite down on the bass signal when the kick hits. We can take it from the ghost kick. That's fine. Just a decently fast attack. I mean, 0.6, 0.1 milliseconds is extremely fast. So that should be decent. And we can leave the release. You actually can play with this to kind of how much pump you want, depending on what kind of side chain style you're going for. So if we're listening to just the bass and the kick, we can take a quick listen to that compressor. So that's just the bass, and then the bass with the kick. And you can just lower this threshold to get more. So you can see that pumping effect. Not really what I'm going for here, right? Another quick tip on sidechain compression, if you can, I think it's like $25, get Kickstart, Nicky Romero. Always get the VST for your Windows homies. Kickstart is essentially just a quick sidechain tool. It has this mix percentage. I mean, this is it. You put this on here, you bring this mix 70, 60%. Really, this is the only thing you have to dial in. And you nail it. Important thing for this track to pay attention to, as you can see right here in the wave, is that simply in the bass, we aren't really hitting at the same time as the kick. You can kind of see them together here. So the bass is hitting typically on off hits, actually all on off hits, which gives it a lot of space. You really barely need the sidechain compression. And that's really nice because that's going to have the bass hitting at full volume every time that it comes in. So that when you put them together, you're getting a nice solid low end. Cool. So just wanted to fix that. I like the kickstart. It's just a really easy way of doing it. And what's really poking out to me next is the toms. I feel like I want the toms. Yeah, they're there, but I want to bring them out a bit. I think I already have some saturation on there. I might even just need to turn them up. So I think I keep them in the lows in this case. Yeah, so we have saturator. This is just a monitoring tool, tells me the peaks. 4.69. Could drive into this just a little bit. I'm gonna go look at the spectrum on my master. I usually keep one here. So that we can take a look at the peaks of the tom, the bass, and the kick. So you see, here's my kick, here's my bass, or vice versa. Let's see. Yeah, so there's my bass hitting around -6, the peaks, and then my kick is a little below -6. I can actually increase the gain on that because I typically on my master I want this to be hitting around -6. That is not always the case. You can check against a reference. Some Green Velvet tracks are hitting like -4 sometimes. Just depends on the track that you're going for and what's the main kind of bass or low end signal. In our case, I think it's the kick. So I'm gonna turn the kick up just like a decibel, a little closer, and then with the bass. So yeah, that bass I can already tell is really high. I typically want that bass sitting around -8. So I'm just going to turn the bass down. So we got there -7. You can see it down here, -7, -7, -8, 7 point. Okay, close enough. And there's my toms. So I think that the toms can come up even some more if I wanted them to. Now back to the mix. Take them down a little bit. All right. So I'm liking that tom there now. I might actually move the toms to my drums group here. Just stick them in there. The reason why is because I want all the drums to go through a glue compressor, so they kind of the glue compressor really helps make your drums more cohesive, if that makes sense. So it's just going to be compressing everything a little bit together in the drums group, and that's going to really kind of make it feel like you're listening to one set of drums rather than a bunch of random sounds, which I'm kind of feeling right now that I'm getting from the track. So I'm just going to stick the toms in there. And then for now, I'm just going to see, we have a compressor here, same thing. It's from the Ghost Kick. So I'll just fix this really quick. Okay, so I didn't notice that we had that compressor. He has it on the drums. This is like a side chain, and the issue with the side chain is that it's going to side chain my clap as well, but my clap's hitting at the same time as my kick. So by doing that, you're going to take a lot of the thwack out of the clap. So what I actually like to do is I'll keep my clap in a separate group, and then I'll keep my open hat in its separate group as well, which I believe is this guy. Whoops, undo that. Just move him up here. And really, should I do the tom? Yeah, he's okay. So I can take the rest of these and I can put them in a group within a group. Ableton Live 10, let's go. Assign track colors to group, just make everything yellow. Drums, sidechain. And we can just take this and put it on the drum sidechain. Now, I do like using this ghost kick. I typically will use a ghost clap and a ghost open hat as well to do side chains on the rest of my drums so that they're getting out of the way of the clap and the open hat. That really helps create space for those. It really makes them pop. I might do those. I need to bring in all the little click samples. So let's go ahead and try to do that. Guess we'll do it from scratch really quick. So I have Ghost Kick. Let's create another track. This will be Ghost Clap, Ghost Open Hat. And what I'll do is I'm just going to find a really short click sample. Click. See that little short thing? That's perfect. So I'm just going to drop that in here. I'm going to, is that the clap or open hat? Open hat. So Command Shift M will create new MIDI, and then we'll zoom in here to, really doesn't matter, C3 is where the sampler will go by default. Want to make sure that we're sitting at 16ths. 16ths, right? There we go. And it should be every off eighth. Okay. Why is my snap? Okay, narrow. I think that's right. Nope. Too small. That's because I'm like super tiny. Should just be the off eighths for my open hat. Make sure that's right. Open hat, drums. Yep, looks right. And then we'll just duplicate that up here really quick. And the claps are just going to be on the 2s. So boom, clap, boom, clap. That looks right. Okay, we're going to stick my click in this ghost clap as well. What you can actually do, Command T, we're going to create an audio channel. I'm going to stick this on here. We're going to zoom in nice and tight. If you click Z, zooms in. And then I'm just going to use my fades to make a really short click. See how short that is? But that's good because it's going to make our compressor hit really quickly. So click on that, Command J. It's going to consolidate that into just a tiny little click. Probably was good enough anyway, but we'll just replace that. Yeah, see, a little bit shorter. So now none of this is going to activate our compressor, which is good. Cool, so I get rid of this extra track now. I got my ghost clap, ghost open hat, and we're just going to come in here and put it on loop, which it already is. Just loop that sucker. Now what you'd want to do is go in anywhere where your clap or open hat are not hitting and remove those. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this, kind of quick and dirty, and come back do that later. So coming back to my drums, let's just duplicate this guy. What we can actually do is turn the audio off and they'll still trigger our side chains. So we're not going to hear them. Right. All right, so now I'm going to choose ghost clap. Same thing, 0 knee, infinity to 1 ratio. You got to click sidechain here, and then you got to choose which track you want to take the audio from. In our case, ghost clap. Then you just use your threshold. So now you can see when the clap hits, we get just a little bit of gain reduction. You also want to make sure makeup gain is off because we don't want any makeup gain. We don't want the compressor to add gain after compression because that's not what you use for a sidechain, right? We just want to duck it momentarily while the kick, the clap, and the open hat play. So now that we got that going, I'm actually going to take the tom out of there because I don't want the tom to get activated by the sidechain from the open hat. So we got now from a kick, from the clap, and then one more time we're going to do it from the open hat. And now all of our drums are just going to be ducking out of the way of the main drums, the main elements. Finally, what I wanted to do was put a glue compressor on all of the drums together. So I'm going to get rid of this side chain. And this time I'm going to get the glue. If you've never used a glue compressor before, it's a stock Ableton compressor. And as you can see here, it's actually originally a cytomic compressor. So if you look up the cytomic glue compressor, it was a really famous compression VST that Ableton was able to get rights for and integrate into Ableton. So a lot of the plugins in Ableton are actually really good, what's the word? Analog replicas, right? So don't be afraid of Ableton stock plugins. Also want to point out here that I'm drinking a Tropical Torpedo from Sierra Nevada. Good beer, so grab a beer with me, folks. All right, back to it. So now my drum effects, I put a glue compressor. What you want is you can set decent attack parameters. We don't want it to be, we're trying to compress all the signals, so we actually want it to be decently fast. But these values, you can see right here in our little info when you hover over it, it says the knobs value are in milliseconds, and 0.1 milliseconds is 0.3, 0.1 milliseconds is really fast. Even 1 millisecond is really fast. So any of these will do. The release, we'll just keep it in the middle. Ratio 4 is fine. If you wanted less compression, you can go to a 2, but I like the 4. And what we're going to be watching here is we're going to lower the threshold and look for a little bit of gain reduction here that's telling you how much it's compressing. And then we're going to make up an equal amount here. And typically when you're doing a big group, I do a little bit less. So I'm going to aim for like 2.5 decibels of gain reduction. Let me just bring up the chat. Tequila is definitely okay. Beehive Music, holla. So sometimes it peaks up to 5. And when I'm doing anything that's kind of playing with the mix, I really like to use this Synoxis Free G Stereo. It's a free plugin. A utility will work just as well. I mean, you could look at your mixer here, but I just find that this is a little easier because I could just put it somewhere on the screen and watch it. But I'll look for the peaks. Also, you want to make sure you use the stereo because the mono one will actually mono your signal, and you'll have no clue why the hell all your drums are in mono at the end of the project. Anyway, put it stereo one on there. All right, and then we're just going to take a look at our peaks before compression. So it looks like when that big clap comes in, it's hitting about -239. So that's just like what we're going to be looking for. And then after compression, so now I'm at -357. So that means I could add a little more makeup, or I can take the threshold down a little bit. So that's closer. Okay. So now we're getting the right amount of makeup and threshold gain. This is what people are talking about when they mention gain staging. It's really important. You want to know if something's making it sound better or not. So the only way to know is if the audio coming in is at the same volume of the audio coming out of that plugin. Otherwise, you're going to trick yourself by it just being louder. Our ears perceive louder things as sounding better. So we constantly have to be fighting our ears. And one of the best ways to do that is gain staging. So you'll see these all throughout my projects. I really love this one. So now let's listen with and without the glue and see if it's doing anything that we can listen to. Okay. Beehive Music, thanks for the follow, my man. All right, so it sounds to me like a couple other things are really starting to pop out. The ride's really loud now that it's being compressed, which is a good thing because now this glue compressor is actually saving me headroom. All those things were peaking at these values. Now they're being compressed, so they're not taking up any more headroom, but they're louder. Hallelujah, compression. This is why we use it. So I can actually turn down my rise, I think, just a little bit. Hmm. I don't really consider this drums. Maybe percussion. It is adding to the loop, so I'm actually going to drop it into my percussion group because I don't want it to be compressed with everything else. Got to be careful though because the drums had -10 on them and perc group does not. So where is it? Okay, so now those are sitting at the same gain it was. And I think I can come up a bit. This ride is just so loud. It's taking up so much of the frequency spectrum, I think is what it is. So I'm going to unfreeze this guy. I see. So we have this sharp, this X4 high pass filter. You want to be a little careful with that because that X4 really adds resonance, and especially with the Ableton EQ, this isn't like modeled after an analog filter or anything, so that resonance is going to be a little harsh at times. And worse, if you're doing this on everything, really hard cut like this, you could be building like little resonance on just a lot of different instruments in the exact same place at 100 hertz, and you're going to get like a big frequency boost right there. And we want to stay away from that. So we'll go to the softer one and we'll actually go up a little more. I think we have some room here. Because in reality, so much other drums are taking up space, especially in tech house. It's really drum heavy production a lot of times. And there's just no room for this because you got the clap sitting in here, the meaty part of the clap. You got the kick coming in and out here as well. This is the open hat is really in the front too. So I think we can really just take this kind of high. I've even seen them go as high as this. I do like some of that metallic-y sound that's down here though. I've been hearing some like weird resonances in this. Okay, so I think the drums are hitting a little better. I'm just going to listen from the break into the drop.
DJ, take me down deeper. Go deeper. I wanna go deeper.
Okay, so that transition right there feels a little weird, right?
I wanna go deeper.
Like the synth comes in, but I feel like there's like an impact or something here that needs to happen. Really quick way to do that is just a crash.
I wanna go deeper.
I already do have a lot of crashes, so I'm not crazy about having essentially 3 crashes in a row.
I wanna go deeper.
This hitting right up here.
I wanna go deeper. Wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper.
Maybe I could even do like a little double clap into it. We'll see how that sounds really quick. I think I have some double claps somewhere like this. No, not that one. Let's go copy this guy. We need both, so I have 2 layers of my clap, so I'm just going to copy both of those. And we're going to move the end of the first phrase. Getting a little lost here. Okay.
Wanna go deeper. Wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper.
So I think I just want these last 2 hits. So Command E is going to cut that for me, and then I'll just delete these as well as these bad boys. Yep.
Wanna go deeper.
So now this first clap's not getting caught. Oops. So I'll let the transient on the clap go through. I'll delete that one.
Wanna go deeper.
So it's on the wrong notes here. What I really want is to hit the same as the clap, the kick rather. Okay, so I think that should be it. And then I guess I could do it for this guy too. See, what happened is that I pasted it in the wrong spot. Command Shift M. And shoot, which clap is it? It's this one. And the velocity is important too, because it doesn't look like I'm at full velocity. I'm just going to copy this. And then I'm going to paste it in here. Boom. So now I have the same velocities. Samples in there. Where do I keep them? Working samples. Noizu. What if I do one of these backwards? Never know. Stick it here. Boom. See, I already had some noisy white noise. This time we're going to reverse it, though. Way too loud.
I wanna go deeper.
It's not that bad. Try this one. That's nice. EQ, always throw your EQ right on, especially with effects and stuff. Get rid of any low end in there. See, even this, see this stuff popping in here? It seems so little, you probably wouldn't even hear it if you EQ it out, but that stuff is all building up on top of your low end, and it's just getting in the way, so we're going to nix that bad boy right away. And I am not afraid, especially on noise, to just high pass the hell out of it. So just a little release. Let's see.
I wanna go deep.
I can dig it.
Go deeper.
That's nice. I think I could take a little high end actually off this percussion. Just get out of the way of the stuff that's really up here, like my open hat and my tops and whatnot. Can you make
I
that?
wanna go deeper. Go deeper.
I'm very curious. So there's a sample. It's one of the original samples that came from DummySplash, and so you see how it has this X4. We're gonna undo that too. It actually has a lot of low end weight. Might just be muddying things up. But really, to my ear, I'm worried that it's out of tune with the rest of the song. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Let's take a look though with the spectrum analyzer. Handy dandy. So this track is in, I want to say F sharp. The easiest way to know when you're working with somebody is to look at their kick and their bass frequencies. And I'm almost certain that it's F sharp. I also keep these as notes just in case. So yep, F sharp minor. Boom. So F sharp minor means that this, well, I have them all here, all the notes that it can be. F sharp obviously is your key, so if it's an F sharp, that's great. Otherwise, I'd be looking for maybe the third or the fifth, which in our case is A sharp, which is actually A and C sharp. But if it could fit into another note in the scale, that would work as well. Just really depends. This being a lead, I'd kind of rather it be the root. But we'll see. Sometimes you can get an eerie sound from playing like the sixth note in your scale. So we got our spectrum. Double click it to bring it up. Let's just solo it for now. So it's definitely changing its note, which is fine. We just want to know what the first one is or what the ending is. That way we know that we're either staying or coming into key, starting or coming into key. I want to say this is the first note. So this little peak right here. We got a G sharp. Look at some of the other peaks. We got G, maybe G, G, it looks like. So it kind of jumps from G sharp to G. In our scale, we have G sharp and F sharp. So let's see what this little guy is. B. Actually is in our scale. It's the fourth. I think it's really a G. It's like barely touching G sharp here. So I think I'm actually just going to tune it up a tiny bit so it's really in that G sharp zone, and so that all of these frequencies are all hitting G sharp instead of G, because G sharp is our second note in, maybe we'll play with F sharp too. But let's see here. There's a lot of ways you can do this. I really like to keep it on beats because it's warped. So what I'm going to do is just get a frequency shifter first. Try that. I think I can just fine tune this up a tiny bit. And so look, that's at an A now. That's at G still. That's a G sharp. That's B. So it didn't move too much. I can go a little more. A few hertz. G sharp. That's G. This is the right thing, right? It's like not really going. Oh, you know what? I put the spectrum before. Can't see it changing because see now it's jumping way over there. All right, makes way more sense. Hallelujah. All right, so we got a G sharp there. G. Hey, let's go a little bit. It's getting there. So you can see this is now G sharp. This is still A. That's C, which is in our scale. C sharp's actually in our scale. I think it can go a little bit more. So does that sound any better? That's the question. Maybe a little bit. Sometimes you just got to let your ear rest and come back to it a little bit later and then ask yourself, is it in key or not? Does it sound a little off to the ear? It's really not an exact science sometimes with some of these noises, especially in tech house where you can have all sorts of funky things. Cool. So I'd like to spend some time on the second drop, probably the build as well. So let's give it a listen all the way through.
I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper.
Okay, so the main thing I want to work on is this little intro synth thing I got going. I take a break from the main kind of idea, the loop. I hit you with just the bass, this kind of weird lead thing. We go in for two bars, and I suck you into this third bar of the second drop, and we're right back into the loop, right?
I wanna go deeper.
Okay, so it's pretty cool. I think that this synth stuff could really use a little bit of some work. So how did I come up with this? What is this? So this was just a synthesizer. Look, if I take off the LFO tool, CLA guitar, EQ. That's it, right? And then just did the EQ, put this little LFO. Looks like I was just trying to duck a kick a little bit, get out of the way. And then CLA guitars with just a simple preset, I'm pretty sure, just really makes it pop out. Oh, you need the gain first. So without, and then with CLA guitars. So it just adds a bunch of compression. These are just, Chris Lord Algae is a great mixer. He built in like a bunch of kind of really easy to make plugins made by Waves that just kind of give you all these tools for doing specific tasks, like working on your mids, your synths, guitars, working on vocals. There's CLA vocals, and they're just great. You just come in here, you pop in a preset, and a lot of times you're going to get a lot of really good compression and stuff. So keep that one in mind. So eventually I just processed that, resampled that, and then ended with. So this is actually the vocal right here. You can hear it kind of quietly. Going into this crazy LFO tool, and I just resampled it. Creates that kind of. So it's really this guy that needs some work though. So what I want is for the levels to be more consistent. It feels like it kind of dips in volume a little bit, and that takes away some of the power of it. So I'm going to try a little trick. I'm going to get Vocal Writers, which is another Waves plugin. And what this does is it monitors the input source and will kind of adjust the volume so that it's staying even over longer periods of time. So back in the studio, they used to actually do this by hand. They'd listen to the singer, or they'd listen to the audio played back, and wherever they thought it was too quiet, they would just raise the fader and then bring it down as they were recording. So that's what we're doing here. We're writing the vocal. And in this case, it's actually a synth, but we're going to see if it'll work out for what we need here. Just to get it more consistent. Does that work? Okay, pretty cool. I'm just going to stick these two together in a group. Yeah, I think it does a good job. Okay, so now in the group, I'm going to play maybe with some saturation. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go get my homie Decapitator. Sound Toys plugin. Well renowned across the world. Making basses fat. All right, pull them up. I'm just going to go straight to my favorite one. Mid driver. Presets is the name of the game, guys. I'm not joking. Presets will make your life so much easier. No shame. Know how to tweak your presets, of course, but using presets is going to save you a lot of time in your workflow, and saving time is the name of the game when it comes to creativity. Too much time tweaking knobs is too much time not making music. So that's just disgusting already. So that's just destroying it. But what if we turn down the mix a little bit? Once again, I'm going to use my favorite man, Synoxis. I don't know if I even say that right. Make sure I'm not doing anything too crazy to the audio here. So without decapitator. So it's getting kind of loud. With decapitator. Believe it or not, it was actually quieter with the decapitator on. So we know we're doing something good here. I'm actually going to use a saturator as well, but I'm actually going to use it more as like a soft clipper. So what you can do is you set the output to what you want it to be. -1 was in our case, that's like decently close to what Synoxis was telling me. And then you can drive into that. And what this is going to do is it's going to increase the perceived loudness without increasing the output. The output's going to stay at -1. That's why I really like Ableton Saturator, because of the way it works. We're already having the same output, right? So then we can just drive into it. Just choose which one of these you want. Medium curve is harder. Hard curve is even harder, obviously. So that's more saturation. See that? Disgusting. Analog or soft's probably good. And if we check our Synoxis, it's quieter now. Isn't that crazy? Saving headroom. Name of the game. And I'm actually going to set this to -2. And now I can just use my fader here to really get it to sit in the mix. And I'm going to grab an EQ as well. Make sure that... Oh yeah, look at all of this low end buildup. I had a feeling. We're just going to cut that out. We don't need that because the bass and the kick are taking up everything from 48 something like that hertz to 250. They're just taking up all that space, and I want them to have that space because that's the thump and meat of it. From like 100 to 200, there's a lot more going on there, toms and stuff, but I kind of like to stay out of their way as well. 250 is probably an okay place. Maybe less, get some of the weight back. Somewhere in the middle. Okay. I think I'm a little happier with that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Okay. I'm worried that our hi-hat is a little quiet. It's got a pretty nasty peak right there, actually. Not really mixing right now. Typically when I really want to get into mixing, I always recommend having reference tracks. So go pick 2 or 3 tracks from your favorite artists, guys who are making tracks similar to the sound, the genre you're trying to be in. Don't use a reference disco to make a dark techno track, right? You want to go grab the equivalent style that you're trying to achieve, and you just bring it in here, and you try to match up your hat with that hat, your kick with that kick. That's really going to bring your levels up. If you're new to mixing, man, do that 5, 6, 10 times every time you make a song, and your mixing quality is going to get a lot better. So maybe next week I'll come with a couple references and we'll do a little mixing on this track. For now, I'm pretty happy with what I've done so far. As far as this kind of little break drop section goes. So now I'm gonna shift my focus to this break a little bit. So before I do that, I do want to do one more thing here on the synth is I want to give it a bit of a plate verb. So let me see. So I don't have a plate set up yet. I typically have like a plate return. But in this case, I'm actually going to put it directly on our guy here. Drop to synth. And I'm going to get my little plate, another Sound Toys plugin if you don't have Sound Toys. Probably one of the best bang for your buck plugin suites out there. If you get the whole suite, I'd get it around Black Friday. It's $250 instead of I think $500. And I use these plugins almost on every channel. I'm using one of them, whether it's the plate, Echo Boy Jr., Decapitator. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. So let me pull my plate. Actually, it's fine there. Right off the bat, what I'm going to do is Command G. I'm going to turn this into a group. I'm going to create a second chain. If you don't know what an audio effect rack is, if you do Command G on any plugin, it groups it into an audio effect rack. It's like where you can put multiple effects, right, in one rack. But you can also have multiple chains. And what this does is give us a way to create parallel processes. So essentially what's happening is that the audio, everything coming up from here is going to go into this, and now it's being duplicated to two different chains. I can listen to this chain. This chain. See, that's going into the reverb there. I'm going to turn this down to about 2 seconds decay, just because that I think is a quarter, roughly a quarter or a half note around 120 BPM. So just kind of a good place to start. And the mix, I want it all the way 100% wet. So it seems kind of crazy, but what I'm really trying to do here is I want to have a dry signal, which is signal completely untouched. And then I want to have a reverb signal. I'm doing Command R here to rename them. And then now what I can do is put some EQ before the reverb, because I want to take out everything below 300 because I don't want that in reverb. And that's actually fine for here. I want to leave all the upper harmonics there and going into the reverb, remember. And I'm going to duplicate that coming out of it so that, again, there's no reverb under that 300 hertz mark. Hold Option and we'll let you duplicate. And finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a compressor. And all I'm going to do with the compressor is have it sidechain from the synth itself. So now not only is this reverb on there, but it's kind of ducking out of the way of the initial signal. This is how I'm going to create some space to give this reverb, to give this synth a feeling like it's like in a really big space without sucking that sound to the back of the mix, because I want it to be in your face. It's the lead. It's coming at you, right? So go to my sidechain. I'm going to select drop to synth. If I can ever find him, drop to synth. Where are you? Boom. All right. Lower my threshold, knee back down to 0, and decently fast attack. Okay. So now that's still a lot more than I wanted, so I'm actually going to just use this little knob to mix it to taste. And that's still pretty fast. I'm going to shorten it to about 1 second. That just gives it a little bit of a room. I think I can come up. nice and wet. And I think I can actually drop the volume of it once again. Cool. I'm digging that. All right, I'm gonna shift focus here to the break, I think.
I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper.
Not crazy about that delay.
I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper.
Okay, so I think what's really missing here is simply just some noise lifters and down lifters. You'd be surprised how quickly they can really change the energy of a track and how much they can add to it. Let me see. So I'd really like a down lifter right there. Let's see what we can go find. Nothing like that. Go to my working samples. It's important, guys, to keep your sample folders clean. I keep all my favorite sample packs in this working samples so that when I'm looking for something simple like a down lifter, I look simply in here and I have a lot less to choose from and they're much higher quality. If I go to like just my samples, that's just my whole sample library. I mean, I could spend 40 days just looking for a down lifter, and that's not what I'm going for here. Also, you can turn this knob here. This is your master fader, but this one here is like the samples and preview volume. So if they're really loud compared to what you're working on, you can just turn it down. Maybe something like that. A little bit of a tone, but mostly just noise. Oops. I want to give it on its own channel there. Way too loud. Yeah, just a little release.
I wanna go deeper.
Might even be able to get away with it twice. Try having a shorter one here. So we get a long one, and then there's like a short one when we go away. Because this is the beginning of the break, but it's a bass section. It's kind of like a cheat code. So kind of tell you guys what I was thinking here. So originally, I think it was just 2 phrases. So the way that I like to think about arrangement in tech house is that every 8 bars is roughly 15 seconds. it's obviously a little off depending on what BPM you are, but everything from like 122 to 128 BPM is about 15 seconds a phrase. So if this is 3 phrases here for my break, that's 15, 30, 45 seconds between the end of the first drop and the beginning of the second drop. So if you're in a club and you're just in a break for 45 seconds, people are just standing there for 45 seconds. They need something to keep them moving. So a little cheat code is that I give them a break by going to this bass only section. I take away the drums, and then we're going to come back to the drums, which is your groove element. It's going to carry us through to the next drop, but I take away the bass. So now at least you have something to dance to for 15 seconds. And then for 30 seconds, we're going to take a break and slowly build back up to something to dance to again, right? To the crescendo of the track. So that's kind of what I was thinking here. That's why I came up with this bass section. So here's the drop. Okay, we're still grooving.
I wanna go deeper.
Full break. Okay, the second guy's a little too loud. I'm just taking it down. Okay, so I think we need a long building white noise riser, I guess. So let's get rid of this downlifter, white noise. Maybe something like that from Noizu. Let's just take the first one, see what happens. It's at 124, so we're gonna make sure we warp it because we're working at 122. Ableton does typically warp it. I like to warp to complex. So if you don't know, you can click this. This is like the different algorithms that Ableton's warp will use. Beats is best for doing something like drums, like if you're just trying to move drums around. Complex and Complex Pro are the most advanced ones, and repitch is going to be like if you DJ, it's like the pitch fader on some DJ equipment, because what repitch does is it just stretches or closes your warp to change the sound. So you're going to hear a pitch change, which is why it's called repitch. This is best if you're trying to like make a studio mix, like a DJ studio mix in Ableton. You'd want to use repitch to warp all of your audio so that you're not creating any you're not letting Ableton try to like warp stuff using his algorithms, which is going to result in some really ugly artifacts. So anyways, you can actually set it so that it always sets to whichever one you like. In my case, I like complex. So leave it complex warping. See if we get the right volume.
I wanna go deeper.
Nice. I mean, I think that's it. Just pretty simple. Get some noise in there. Gets the job done. He kind of already had a little bit of a riser. Looks like that he made in, I want to say, Silent. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and take these now too and group them all. What is 48 audio? Do a little housekeeping. Whoops. .48 audio looks like it's just an empty track. So I'm just going to delete that. Then I'm going to take the rest of these. Let's see. 909 crash hit, transient, cymbals, white noise, downlifters. Yeah. I'll just call these effects. Command G to group them. Command R to rename. FX. Assign track color. Boom. Drums is actually already yellow, so I'm going to make it gray. I like gray effects. Boom. Okay. So we got some noise there. I thought about doing a snare roll, but I don't know that I can do a snare roll with this building synth that I have. Yeah. I just don't think it'll work with that, so. I don't think it's that bad without it anyway. Okay, so let's see if I have. Looks like I've taken care of all the things that were on my list. Working on the second drop lead, fixing the bass, compression. So yeah, I think it's sitting all right, which is just in time. I think I'll probably end the stream around 7:30. So I got a few people watching with us. Maybe just open it up to you guys. What'd you guys get out of this? What'd you think? Is there any way I can improve it? Is there anything you guys would like to see in the coming weeks, or is there any questions I can answer? Please drop some questions in the chat. Otherwise, let's just listen to this from the top.
DJ, take me down deeper. Go deeper. I wanna go deeper. Go deeper.
Cool. So yeah, glad you guys found some use out of it. So it's my first time. I'm trying to get better at streaming, but definitely I could do a little more on sound design in the maybe next week. I have another track that's the idea is not really finished yet, so maybe that'd be a good one to play with some synths. I use Serum pretty often, and I use Operator, Ableton's Operator pretty often too. I have a lot of good tips on some plugins that we can use that are stock Ableton plugins, Max for Live devices too, that can really make the sound design fun. So yeah, we'll dig into that. Hell yeah. Thick bass lines, don't we all? Tell me about it, dude. I do have a couple secrets I can share on the bass stuff too. So maybe we'll work on that next week. Bass and some synth design. For Beehive, hey, what up, dude? Yeah, man, that parallel trick with the reverb, I do that with all my delays and all my reverbs. It's just like guarantee. So if I come look at my vocals, my main vocal, I had H delay, Waves H delay on it, And you can see I'm doing the same thing. So I have the dry channel, nothing's happening on the dry channel. And then I have the delay channel. I have an EQ straight off after my delay. Here's the delay. It's like just a quarter delay. And then I have the compressor. So I'm compressing off of the vocal itself. So I do this all the time. It helps you keep all those offbeat reverb and delays and things out of the way of the main vocal. And it really helps keep you from pushing it back when you're trying to like add those. So yeah, pretty common. And then what I'll actually do, especially with delays, is that I will I'll map them to macros, and I'll typically map like the on off to the volume one. So if you look at the mapping here, I have 1 to 127. So what that means is whenever the volume is off, it turns off the delay channel. So you can't really see it right now. But see, the delay channel is off versus on. So what I can do is whenever I want like the drop to come in and I want the delays to like echo into the drop, but get out of the way for the drop to start, then you can just automate this volume so that it goes all the way down to 0. And when it goes down to 0, it's going to completely cut off the delay track. So we know for a fact there's no audio. It's just dead silence, which is perfect because now the kick's going to come in hard. The drop's going to come in, and that delay, you wouldn't even notice it. So reactivate that. So you can see here that I'm doing that right now. So I took out some of the volume of the delay for this vocal to come in the drop.
DJ, take me down.
Brings it like right up front in your face for that minute, but there's still a little bit of delay, and then take the delay completely out right as the drop hits.
Deeper.
So then all you get is the deeper, really dry.
Deeper. Deeper.
Yeah, man, saturation and compression are both tools. Especially when it comes to mixing, man, you need to get every ounce of headroom you can. And the saturator, Ableton saturator, is really good for that. But compression is a whole nother thing, right? And then just use both. Use a little bit of both, a little bit of saturation on every single element. And then if it needs compression, give an element its specific compression, but then putting compression on the group is going to give you a little bit more. You know, it's going to push everything a little fatter, and it can come down a little bit more, which is going to give you a tiny bit more headroom. And you're doing this on 3-4 different groups. You see like every ounce of headroom gets added, and all that headroom now means that your other elements, the kick and the bass, can take up more space, and everything gets louder. So the compressor is the key. The saturation is that fine spice on top. So man, I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah, mixing is tough, dude. There's times where like I'll mix a track. I'll be like spending 4 hours working on the damn mix, and I just don't like it. And I'm just like super annoyed with it, and I just quit producing for the day. And then I come back, I listen tomorrow, and I'm like, oh damn, that sounds like better than I thought. Oh, I guess I was just tricking myself. You know, your ears get tired, so it's an interesting game of cat and mouse you play mixing, man. Also had the opposite. Man, this sounds so damn good. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh my God, what did I do? 4 hours of making it worse. Anyway, glad you guys got some use out of this one. I'll be back next Monday. Keep them like hour to an hour and a half long. And just try to come up with new topics. Maybe bring some homies on, and we'll produce together. Especially as COVID kind of lets up, and we don't have to be so socially distanced. But anyway, guys, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe and the follow button. Share with the homies. I got a YouTube video that's going to be coming out in the next week or two, so keep an eye on that one. And if there's anything you guys want to see specific, just hit me up on Facebook or send me a good follow. Send me an email, Juan@juantonmusic.com. I'm really looking forward to sharing more and more. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Till next time, keep producing, keep your head up. All right, peace, y'all.
Last night I got so drunk.